videos to install Tame NMR server via Docker. Now the first step for installing Docker is to go to www.docker.com and find the correct version for your operating system. We're downloading Docker Desktop for Windows, and basically just save the installer and then we'll go through the instructions on how to set it up correctly afterwards. So once you have downloaded the tool, just follow the installation instructions from the executable. And we're going to install Docker Desktop 3.6.0 today, and we're installing the required Windows components of the WSL2 and also the shortcut to desktop. So this should take about 90 seconds to a minute or two, depending on the speed of your laptop. I'm running on Windows 10 Home Edition, and this should be compatible with Windows Professional, and of course there are other versions of Docker Desktop for Mac and Linux users as well. Once the installation has proceeded, we will restart the device and continue with the Tame NMR installation. So now we need to close and restart Windows to continue. So upon restart, you'll see a .NET framework error. If you're working on Windows, this is very common. So we can just continue, and then we'll see that there is actually a kernel. So if you click on the link before you hit restart, that will open a web browser that we'll take a look at now. So this guide to setting up Linux within Windows is very thorough, but really what we want to do is head straight to step 4 and download the Linux kernel package. So to download the latest package, just follow the link at the start of step 1. And then there are detailed instructions on how to run it. So we will just do that now in the background. Now, one thing is very important to set before you install the kernel is the version. So if you go to Windows PowerShell, which is available with every Windows 10 installation, you need to specify WSL-set-default-version 2. And now we're using a version that's compatible with Docker. So then you can proceed to the install and the restart of Docker after the kernel. So we can just execute the Windows installer here, and then we can follow the setup window. And that's as quick as it takes. So we're finished. And now let's go back and see if we can restart Docker. So now that we've installed the kernel, if we hit restart, we can see that the Docker engine is starting. On your first installation, first open of Docker, this might take some time as all the background processes are ongoing. But once it's installed on your machine, this will become a lot quicker. And there you go. We're going to skip the tutorial as we can follow our own instructions here. And you can see that the Docker is currently running no containers, which is essentially similar to a VirtualBox. So now we can go ahead and have a look at installing tamenmr container within this Docker. To build the container for tamenmr after you download, we again go back to PowerShell, and this time we want to cd to the location where we extracted the zip file that we downloaded from GitHub. So this is where I extracted the zip, and if I go to tamenmr-master, that is the location of the contents from GitHub, including something called a Docker file. So to build, we need to run a command at this PowerShell. And this is the only time you need to use this command in the initial build. So if I type docker build -t, and then we can give the build any name we want, as long as it doesn't have capital letters. And this will be what is displayed in Docker when you launch the container, and then a full stop or a period at the end, and the build begins. So if you experience something reporting a red error during the build in Windows PowerShell, such as here, you can see that the build is actually finished early, and we think that's due to problems connecting to the host repositories. Therefore, if you see anything like this, don't panic. All you need to do is just to run the command again, exactly as you did before, and the build will pick up where you left off. So I haven't done anything to change the activity, but as you can see, the build is currently going along just fine. So I just wanted to highlight that. This will take another 20 minutes. So if it takes less than half an hour, the build, or less than 20 minutes, just check that you haven't had a timeout from the server side, the repository side. Make sure that it finishes without any of these errors. The error exits with a 2 if it hasn't completed. But like I say, it's not a panic. We just need to pick up the build again with the same command I showed you before. And there's the build successfully finished. So you can see what it looks like during a successful load. So now we can go back to Docker and put the container into use. So to start the container, as you can see at the moment, no containers are running. This is just where we left Docker previously. If we go to images, we can now see that tamenmr 2020, which is what we built, is here created a minute ago and ready to run. So when you run for the first time, there are optional settings that you need to set up. So there are actually in total 5 ports that need to be set, and these start usually with an 80, apart from 443, and the container ports are actually listed down here, so you should be able to work out which is which on this 5. Now the container name can be anything you want, And the volume that we're going to use is the path to wherever we built the containers. So click on the three dots and specify any local folder. Now if we set it to run, what you can see is this icon was red and now is green. Now in actual fact, the tame NMR won't be immediately ready to run as soon as you set this. If you click on the container that's running, you'll see there's actually a log that you can observe building the database and all of the interface that you need to access tame NMR over your browser. You'll also notice there's a set of icons here to stop the container, to restart, to remove if you need to get rid of it, command line for the Linux running underneath, and also this launcher here to open in browser. Actually, if you click this launcher, it will actually go to localhost 8021, and in actual fact the server will be live on 8080. So I actually built that in real time, and you can see it's already up. If you find that this is not visible to you, then give it a minute and then refresh your browser. And here we have it, a local installation of the tame NMR server.